Oh boy, okay, so here's another book review. Today, we're doing His Name Was Death by Rafael Bernal. This was published 1947, Mexican author. Um, so, yeah, right off the bat, this is basically the Mexican Heart of Darkness. It, really reminded me of that as I was reading through it. I'm sure a lot of other people have thought the same thing, but that's just what I was feeling as I was reading it. It took me a bit to get my thoughts together about it because I read it in a single day, and it's not exactly the best way to do things if you're going to do a book review. So, yeah. Basically, this is a sort of mash of science fiction, existential horror with like some surrealism in there. It's really just a combo of that. It's about this nameless dude who is fed up with society. He hates people. He hates other people. Feels shunned, so he goes out into the jungle and starts like having these fits of alcoholism induced fits where he just destroys shit in the jungle, and he eventually runs across a tribe there called the Lacandon, which are apparently part of the Maya. Interesting. So then he starts sobering up, he starts dropping the alcohol stuff, and eventually starts paying attention to what the mosquitoes that are in the jungle, because it's a jungle, he starts like, getting irritated with them, and he starts noticing things about the way they buzz and stuff, because, you know. And then he does a really interesting thing where he starts paying attention to the pitch and frequency and the different type of buzzes they do, and uses that to write a dictionary of their language based on music notes and semitones and shit. Like, I mean, that already is really inventive, but then he starts he tries to speak it, but he can't because he's not a fucking mosquito. So then he goes and like commissions one of the tribesmen to make this flute for him, this reed flute, and with it he starts communicating with them, and discovers that entire their entire species is all connected in this web of like this very fascist, communist, dictatorial thing where there's like tiers, and it's just like top there's the High Council. I mean, just gonna stop right there. That is an amazing premise. It's really deceptively simple when I say it like that, but you really don't see imaginative ideas like this anymore in fiction, and I'm really sad about it. And it's like it's like magical realism, but extended and elongated over a period of time to where it starts to become more believable. Not hook, line, and sinker, but you're still able to believe it and believe in the reality of this story. It's very natural in the way it does it. Like, it feels like it should have been done many times from how natural it is in the writing. So, then he starts trying to understand their society better and like stuff, and he lists out all the tiers of the different like ranks of mosquitoes, and at the top is the High Council, like I said, and they're so like they've been around for so long that they've thought of everything and no longer need to think of anything. It's very sort of um, very sort of Stalinist, sort of North Korea, stuff like that. Very buzz comrade. Um, sorry, buzz comrade. But yeah. And then he finds out that they want to sort of take over the world and use humans as this like as a food source. Uh, and apparently they owe a blood tax or something, because mosquitoes, according to themselves, are the best species on the planet and stuff. It's so they make a plan with they make like a deal with him where he'll become like the overseer of humans and have more power than the rest of them and won't be fed on. It's basically the worst person who could have made this breakthrough makes the breakthrough, because he's very misanthropic, very nihilistic, doesn't like people. He's been scorned by society a lot. We never really find out why. But he reminded me a lot of Dostoevsky's The Underground Man in that sort of sense. It's very, very fun, very interesting stuff. It's kind of disturbing, actually. The way that it talks about Mosquito's plan. Um, but later on in the novel, this group of scientists come to the place where the Lekandon are, and they're just there to like study the culture, like how there's songs and their stuff like that. Basic anthropologists. And there's the assistant, who is this woman. We never really find out her name, but the protagonist, who is called Wise Owl, it's basically the name that he gives him, that the tribe gave him, and he uses a lot. He starts falling for her, which doesn't really, it's not very good for her, because over the course of the scientists being there, he slowly demonstrates that he can control the mosquitoes to, well, not really control them, but he can communicate with them and stuff. And hilarity ensues. Just kidding. It's really dark and fucked, and yeah, there's a lot of really interesting stuff. It's like, best way I can describe it is it's like the sort of like solitary feeling of The Circular Ruins by Borges, mixed with a misanthropic, nihilistic protagonist, mixed with some Dostoevskian stuff, Underground Man, and there's also some like cosmic and like Lovecraft vibes in there as well. Really interesting combo. I loved it. Kind of reads like a fevered, like a nightmare you'd have when you were sick, like fevered dream nightmare type stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if it came to him in a dream, really. Um, but a lot of it really is like you could probably guess a few plot points if you were eagle-eyed like I did, but I didn't see the ending coming. I don't think anyone will. It's a fucking gut punch, and it's really like that's what turned it into a horror story for me. It's really fucking fucked, because you start realize when you read the last bits of it why he's been writing the way he's been writing, and you realize where he is when he's writing. It's dark. It's really dark. Yeah. Yeah. And let me just say, things get really interesting, really complicated when like the mosquitoes on the lower tiers, they start wanting. He finds out that they can actually think for themselves and that they want freedom from the High Council, and they start asking him about God and stuff. And he finds out that the High Council knows about that, and they're keeping it a secret because they're trying to suppress the idea of equality under God, which, yeah, it's very, yeah, it's just really, and there's a war that happens at the end. Yeah, it's one of the best books I've read this year, along with the Peregrine, which is there. It's down here. Well, you can't see. Yeah, it's there. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. I would recommend it wholeheartedly. It is a really good book. Sure, there's some plot points that are a bit hard to swallow, and some characters don't really seem that realistic or fleshed out. But overall, it's a really good book. I guess I should try and. Would you like it? If you like misanthropic protagonists, if you like first person uh, narratives of like tortured people, like people that are not exactly good, would honestly are way more interesting than goody tissues, to be honest. Fans of like uh, Holbeck and Machado de Assis, and there's some Dostoevsky and stuff in there as well. It's people that enjoyed those stuff would probably enjoy this thing. They probably would. Um, it's really like the narrator really reminded me of the narrator in. Really reminded me of the narrator in Epitaph, Small Winter in particular. It's and also the narrator, the protagonist in here also reminded me of my good friend Daniel in a way, which was really weird because I was imagining him in this situation and I was like, oh boy, okay then. But yeah, definitely recommend if you like those things. So yeah, thanks for watching. Right now, I'm in the process of reading Stoner by John Williams, and I'll do a review on this one for fucking sure because I am. This it's so good, it's almost paranormal. Oh man, it's gonna take a bit for me to do that one. Review that one, I mean, because oh my god. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one, whatever that is. Bye.